So we're going to be factoring trinomials, and in the last video we were doing it where a was equal to 1, and now what's going to happen is a is not going to be equal to 1, so you're going to see other numbers in front. So in like this value you'll see like 2 or 12 or 10, like there's going to be other numbers that are in front now, so you have to find the factors of those. To start off, you want to make sure to factor out the GCF. Remember that the first term can't be negative ever, so that would indicate to you that you have to make sure you take out a negative GCF. Also remember that if you do only factor out a GCF and you can't factor anything else on the inside the parentheses, it's still considered factorable, so you can't put prime. If you factor out a GCF, you want to make sure that you find the factors of your AX squared and then your C value. To check, you're going to make sure to distribute the outside and the inside to see if they add up to your BX value. If, for example, your like you didn't have a GCF to factor out, you found your factors of your A and your C, and you went to go check and none of the values work, then it's going to be prime. So that's something to remember as well. So in the first example, we're going to do the same types of steps. We're going to find the factors of our A values, and we're going to find the factors of our C values. If you can notice in this one, you do not have to factor out a GCF because 2, 7, and 6 don't have anything in common. And this one has 2 x's, this one has 1, and this one has 0, so there's no variables to take out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor and find the factors of 2x squared, so that's 2x and x. I'm going to find the factors of 6, so I have 1 times 6 and 2 times 3. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my two binomials, so I'm going to check to see. I need it to remember to add up to 7x. So right now I only have these as my factors, so I'm going to put those there. Now, this is where I have to kind of figure out, okay, how can I get 7? So I have to think about using these factors here. 2 times what and 1 times something is going to give me 7. So if I think about this, if I put 1 here and 6, that would be 2 times 6, which is 12, and 1. That's not going to get me 7. If I put the 1 here and the 6, I'm going to have 2 times 1, which is 2, and then 1 times 6. 6 and 2 is not going to get me 7. Let's see here. 2 times 2, that's 4. And then if I put the 3 there, that's 3. So 4 and 3, that's going to work. So I'm going to put the 2 here and the 3 here. This is important to make sure you put them in the correct spot. And then it's a positive 6, and it has to add up to a positive 7. So I'm going to have 2 plus signs here. So let's check now if that works. 2 times 2 is 4x. 3 times x, or 2x times 2 is 4x. 3 times x is 3x. That does add up to 7x. So here is my final answer. My next one, I'm going to do the same thing. So I have to ask myself, can I take out a GCF? And 7, 29, and 24 don't have anything in common. They don't have a variable I can take out, so I'm good to go. So I'm going to find my factors of 7x squared. So I have 7x times x. Now, in this one, I have a lot of factors for 24, so I have to list those all out. So I have 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, okay? This might take us a little bit because now we have to try to get to 29, but we have a lot of factors here. So we have 7x and x, okay? We have to think about 7 times what, and 1 times something is going to get us 29, okay? I'm going to tell you right now that 1 and 24 might be too big, because if you do 7 times 24, that's going to be too big, so that's not going to work. If I put 24 here, you'd have 7 times 1 and 24. That's not going to get us 29. 7 times 12, that's going to be too high, so that's not going to work. 7 times 2, and then put the 12 here. That would be 7 times 2 is 14, and 12, that doesn't give us 29. 8 and 7 is going to give us 56, so that's going to be too high. Ooh, look at this. We got 7 times 3 and 8. 7 times 3 is going to give me 21. 8 times x is going to give me 8. I need it to be a positive 24, so I need them to add up. So I have 7x times 3, which is 21x, plus 8x does give me 29x. So this would be my final answer. So my next one, I got 6x squared plus x minus 12. I have to ask myself, can I factor out a GCF? In this case, I cannot. So I'm going to start listing out the factors. This one's going to be a little bit tricky because we're going to have more factors on both of them. So we have 2x times 3x, and we have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. So here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to figure out, okay, can I start with one of them, some of the factors, and then, so you almost have to kind of just start figuring it out or trying a factor set. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with, you can either start off with 6x times x or 2x times 3x. I'm going to start off with 2x times 3x and see if that works with some of my factors. If it doesn't, then what I want to do is I want to put the 6x and the x here. But let's start with 2x times 3x. So we have to think about, if I multiply 2 times something and 3x times something, how can I get it to add up to 1x? So I got 12 times 2, that's going to be 24. That's going to be a little high, 36. If I put the 12 here, that's still going to be a little bit high. That's not going to work. This one I have, if I put the 2 here and the 6 here, I would have 6 times 2, which would be 12, 3 times 2, which would be 6. That's not going to get us 1. What if I flip and I put the 6 here and the 2 here? That would be 2 times 2 is 4. 6 times 3, that's 18. That's not going to work. We have 2 times 4, which is 8. And 3 times 3 is 9. It does have to be a negative, one of them, so that would actually work. So 2 times 4 and 3 times 3. So that would be, this one would have to be positive because I would want it to be a positive 9x. This one would have to be negative, so this would be negative 8x plus 9x. That does give me a 1x, so it would be good to go. With this one, okay, I'd have to see if I can take out a GCF, and in this case, I can, notice it's negative, so I have to take out a negative GCF. I'm going to take out a 3, so I'm going to be left with 4x squared minus 16x minus 9. I'm going to list all my factors out. So I have 2x times 2x and 4x times x. This one I'm going to have 1 times 9 and 3 times 3. Now, be careful. You do have a negative, so that means one of the values has to be negative here. This time I'm going to start off with, let's try 2x and 2x. So I have to say 2 times what? And 2 times what is going to give me a negative 16. So if I look, I'm going to try the 1 and 9. So if I say 2 times 9, that's 18, and 2 times 1, that's 2. That can give me a negative 16, but I have to be careful. So I'm going to put a 9 and a 1. I would want to make this a negative 9, and I want to make this a positive 2. So let's see. So I have negative 18x plus 2x is going to give me negative 16x, so I'm good to go. Here's my next example. In this one, I'd have to look to see if I can take out a GCF. 46 and 4 all have 2 in common. I also notice they all have an x, so I can take out a 2x. Ooh, I just noticed something in my last one. What did I forget in my answer? I actually forgot to bring down the GCF, so this would be actually my final answer. Okay. So I have 2x as my GCF. I'm going to take out what I have left. So I have 20x squared plus 3x minus 2. I'm going to list out my factors of 20. So I have x times 20x, 2x times 10x, and then I have 4x times 5x. And then this one I have 1 and 2. So I have to think to myself, I'm going to actually bring this down now because I don't want to forget about it. I'm going to figure out, okay, what can I do to add up to 3 here? And I have to think about this. You can kind of start with either of these. What's nice about this one is you know that the 1 and 2 are going to go here. We do have to be aware that one of these is going to be negative, but we have to say something times 2 and something times 1 is going to give us a positive 3. So I want to look here. These are probably going to get me too high of a number if I multiply these. So these are never probably going to get to 3. I'm going to say the same probably with this, because even if I put 10 here, you'd get 10 times 2, which is 20, and 2, so that's not going to work. So we're going to try the 4 and 5. So let's see where the 4 could go. So if I put 4 at 4 times 2, that's 8, and 1 times 5, that's 5. Ooh, that can give me 3x. So I'm going to do 4x and 5x. Now, if this is a positive 8, I would have to make that a negative, so that would multiply to get me that negative 2, which is good. So that would be 8x minus 5x, which does give me 3x, so I'm good to go. I want to include my GCF in my final answer, so then that is going to be it. Now, with this last one, I can't take out a GCF, so I'm going to start finding my factors. So I have 2x times x, and I have 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. So I'm going to put my terms in the first part, and then I'm going to see if I can get to 3. So 2 times 10 is 20, and 1, even if I switch them, I'm not going to be able to get 3. 2 times 2 is 4, that's 5. I'm not going to be able to get to 3. Even if I put 5 here and 4, I'm not going to be able to get to 3. So what actually ends up happening, because I can't factor, I would be left with prime. So that would be my final answer, because there is nothing that is going to allow me to get that to work.